Here I am, on time, because I've got to make them views! Matt, what a stupid statement to say. By the time this is out, it's going to be like, you probably won't even get this out before episode 2, knowing your track record. You're such an idiot. The first thing I'll say to you is this. Just to make it clear while I'm reviewing this, I know the story, I read the manga, I'm up to date with the manga itself, but I will not spoil anything for you. The last thing I'd want to do is spoil the story for you, or any of the jokes or anything like that happen in the future. So I won't, I'm not going to, say, foreshadowing things like that, bits like that. But I'm just here to review it in general still, so I'm just making this clear in case someone's only seen the anime and is watching this. So if you're after someone who's got a bit more of a reaction to it, then maybe there's other people you could go out there and see, but I might not be that person. But if you want to stick around, that's very appreciated. Thanks for watching. But let's get started. So, One Punch Man Season 2, Episode 1, The Return of the Hero. Yes! Overall, my whole opinion of this episode is it was good. It's not Season 1 quality, but it's still good, and it does a lot for it still. So obviously the animation doesn't match up, but in terms of, the jokes still land, the story's still good and funny, everything like that, I think nails it. But let's get talking about it. So, going into this, I wasn't even trying to compare it to Season 1, I was comparing it to the manga, because the manga is top quality. So, with me, the main thing I was actually looking for going into this wasn't necessarily oh, look at these all amazing fight scenes, because it's gonna be, I knew the fight scenes were gonna be good, because I thought in this fight, I thought Genos vs G4 was done really, was good. Like I said, still not Season 1 quality, but it's unfair to compare the main fight of Season 1 to Season 2, the first episodes at least, because, the first episode of Season 1 was Saitama versus the Subterraneans, and that's such a big moment for Saitama, because it's his dream fight. So the fight is over the top, balls to the walls. Maybe I said that wrong. This is Genos, who we know has a losing record, who goes up against this other robot. And but you know what? I still think they really did the Genos G4 fight well. I thought it was entertaining. I was happy with it. The animation certainly looked better than it did in the PVs. Yeah, I honestly, out of 10, I think a 6.5 is a good score to give this kind of animation. I think it's better than average animation, but it's obviously still not Season 1, and even I'm doing this wrong, because I'm still comparing it to Season 1. Any case, the main thing I was going into Season 1 about was the audio, because the thing is, especially with King's introduction in the manga, it's gorgeous. It's generally possibly one of the most reworked on bits of art there is, and it wasn't even bad. It was good the first time you saw it, and then it's almost each time Murata's gone I'm just gonna have that, I'm just gonna have that, and it looks even better and better. So I was right, it's not going to compare visually, but the audio is the main advantage. This is what's good about adaptations to media like TV. So you have the update of audio, you have music to back it up to make scenes better, because it does work like that. Because, example, in the first season, the Moomin Rider scene was so much better in the anime than the manga, because I loved it in the first season, but I loved it when I first read it, but then I was near tears watching it in the anime. Any case, basically I'm making the point of the audio. What did I think of the audio? It's the honest answer. I've been building up the audio and I thought it was fine. It wasn't bad, but it was standard kind of Season 2 audio. So remixes and rehashes of tracks from Season 1. So you hear that in Genos' fight, you still hear a bit of the and then even when Saitama goes and meets up with King, you've got that bit there too. There's still little bits of the old music in there too, because it's done by the same composer. Just obviously, if you keep using the same songs over and over again, it gets boring. But I'm ready to give it time. One thing I would have liked to have seen, like I said, I've got to give it time because I don't know yet, is for King to have a theme song, because obviously now everyone knows about the reveal of King. I would like it if he had an epic theme song, because it just makes those scenes funnier when obviously you think he's going to do something amazing when he's just going to buy a game or anything like that. But story-wise, I'm obviously fine. The reason I've kept reading One Punch Man is because the story's so good as well as the art. But honestly, the story, I thought it was so good. I love the King twist. It makes sense, because with everything that Saitama's been doing, it makes sense that someone would be out there, someone would have seen what Saitama's done if he's been doing it for so many years. Someone should know about it. But the idea that actually someone else took the credit for it unintentionally builds it up, and it kind of shows the life Saitama would have had if King wasn't there. People would have revered Saitama like this. If not, they would have been they would have cheered his name, women would have fallen in love with him on the spot, everything like this. It's all these great little touches. And of course I do love how it's just revealed that he's just a big nerd, and it just looks intimidating more than anything. I do love that. Another little touch I loved as well was at the very beginning, just the confidence that JC Staff went into this. When he picks up the game, it's been 3.5 years since the last one. I'm feeling hyped. I was like, alright, I appreciate the confidence you're going into this. And you know what? There were some things I think they did really well. So, for example, Giant Crow was the one. Giant Crow he's just a very standard demon, but like he suddenly appears in the manga too out of nowhere. Like, I thought they did a really good job with that, because all of a sudden it's like, boom, and then this giant crow flies into the building. You just hear this announcement of a monster, giant crow shows up out of nowhere. I thought that worked really well, and even like, there were some small things I'd have to change my mind on a bit, so like, how the Genos G4 fight ended, like, it ends on that freeze frame, right, of Genos and G4 when he's in his lower robot form to go boom, but like, that happens in such an instant. I would have had that personally earlier on, and then like, let the whole Saitama King fight play out on its own without just like that little freeze frame happening in the middle. I suppose it obviously shows they finished about the same time, but I think personally, I wouldn't have done that, but like I said, it's personal. You know, the jokes landed too. Like, some of those jokes I forgot about, and they did make me laugh. So, like, when King's in his room, Saitama shows up, and then he's like, how'd you get up here? Oh, I came through the window. He's like, this is the 22nd floor. That one got me. And then it keeps the charm. I think that's one of the main strengths of it, and I hope that's the reason people are still enjoying the season, is because the charm of the story and the comedy is still there. Like, it's still interesting stuff. And obviously, you know, talking about the character of King is interesting because he's not necessarily like, he's not a bad guy, he's actually the opposite. He's a very average guy, because like, if someone all of a sudden got first on money and fame and everything, I think people would love it, and like, they wouldn't necessarily turn it down. So obviously when King gets all this, he's like that, but then the moment he meets the man who actually should have all this, he's immediately like apologetic and sorry. He's not like too arrogant with his power more than anything that he's got and the influence he has. And like, this is showing because obviously, you know, we learn obviously that King, like Saitama saved King years ago, and it's a great thing is they don't show it to you. There's two things. First of all, the monster that attacked King in the past was called Octopus Tiger Claw. He's just a tiger level demon, so for the anime onlys, he is just the lowest rank of demon. But in the like all like the books before you learn about King, saying like he got his scars from god level threats, and really it's just against a very low class demon. And even if you're a manga reader, then there's Wolf, and he's literally just above the weakest. But one thing I do love is they do touch on this, because I remember noticing it in season 1, and now I can talk about it, is in the first episode of season 1, King actually makes an appearance during the Vaccine Man attack, because it's only very slight, but there's a guy who's walking around with a hood and a cap, and that's King's like kind of signature incognito outfit that he wears, or like his standard like workout, like his standard outfit. So I was like, that's King right there. And they even just confirm it with the fact, obviously, you know, King just being there when Vaccine Man attacked and Saitama showed up. And even like in a story sense, I'm just all over the place. Saitama and King makes sense, because obviously, you know, who are you going to look at? Like, who's more likely to do this? This little bald weirdo, or this big giant man with the cool scars? Who do you think took down this monster? And I suppose Saitama doesn't hang around as well, like King, who probably passes out, and they're like, he did it again, strongest man in the world. But one thing I do love as well is Saitama's whole attitude to it, because Saitama, as you see here and now, he doesn't care really about the fact, like, he makes it a big deal in season 1, but then like throughout what's seen on this, he doesn't really care at all, because like the moment he's like King, he finds the truth out about King, he's like, so you're not really that strong. And maybe this is why Saitama likes him, is because he can relate to a sense of loneliness. Because obviously you've got Saitama and King, like Saitama's obviously incredibly lonely because of the strength, and he's hoping with King's the strongest man in the world, maybe he gets that sense of loneliness. And that's probably where their friendship comes from more than anything, because he's like, well, you know, do you get that? And then he tries to actually become friends with King, which he doesn't do with a lot of people. Also, I suppose Saitama, to note, he does generally see like the best in people. Like, he sees what they can be as well. So like he like, obviously that's why he defeats monsters, because monsters giving up on humanity, whereas I feel like humanity he always gives a chance. So like with King, he wasn't like, you know, how dare you take my fame and all my prizes and everything like that. He wasn't like angry, he was just like, well, you're the strongest man in the world and you've got this reputation, so why don't you actually just become strong? And he's like, I'll see you later, let's play video games sometime. And that's where he ends it. And like, I like that a lot. I feel like, obviously, because this was the first episode of season 2 as well, there were certain lines I was like, alright, they're just doing this recap. So in particular, I think it was the Genos lines and the Sonic lines, really, that were the recap stuff. So like, Genos makes it clear, like, oh, I must have, like, you know, I know Dr. Cruceno actually makes it clear, like, you know, oh, I must defeat this, like, the mad cyborg who took everything away from you. You must defeat this monster. And it was all just kind of like, alright, like, I can get away with that more than anything, because obviously, I guess it makes sense in the context for both of them, but at the same time it felt like very much, alright, remember this is Genos' motives, and this is what we're going forward with season 2 with Sonic, when Sonic reads out all the information about Lady Shibabawa's prediction about the god level threat and everything like that. And yes, I think also going into that, one of my gripes about Season 1, honestly, was how they handled Sonic's speed. I don't think really in Season 1 they made Sonic seem that fast until when he fought the Deep Sea King, when he's in the rain and it's like a blur, but when it slows down he's dodging everything, no problem. I love that scene so much, because I was like, finally they got Sonic's speed right. But they get a similar effect that I enjoyed, but just through editing skills instead of animation. So for example, they didn't even, Sonic, all of us, like, Sonic, when Sonic shows up, he obviously has the papers in his hand, and instead of like showing Sonic going, like, it just shows it like, Stitch is like, where's the papers? Where's the papers? Like, he's like, he reacts later on, like, when did he get those papers? He was faster than anyone could see. And I do really like that about him. Because obviously Sonic's gone to Saitama, but like, I just like that show of speed. I thought it was well done. And also I like the whole end scene, of course, because, you know, with the gold level threat, you know, humanity's got to team up against each other, yet the criminals don't actually feel like they're being trusted, because you're like, oh, yes, you're criminals and welcome, you can help us out, but just in case, I've got these A-class heroes here, which is a smart move, but the criminals pretty, like, antagonistic already, so they're just going to look for a fight. And then, of course, I'm trying to think, did I miss out on anything? Not really. And then, of course, we get the ending, where Fubuki is showing up, the main girl, and she's shown up wanting to meet Saitama. And Sonic has shown up because he's like, they're both after the same thing. They both are after Saitama. And in other series, this would be like quite serious and end on like a big thing, like, oh, watch out, these new enemies and old enemies are returning to fight against the main character. Saitama's just chilling. He's playing games with King. He doesn't care. I just like that. It's really great. And then we get the last couple of things I want to talk about, which is the opening. Now, I thought the episode was good, but the opening was by far the best thing about this. And this is probably just me being a manga reader more than anything, because I won't spoil anything. I'll only talk about the bits I can talk about, but I was so excited seeing all of it. And even just like the little things, like background details and the Easter eggs I saw, I was like, they're showing that? They're not... I was freaking out. I couldn't sit still. I was that excited to see everything that was going to happen finally in animated form. I was loving it. I was like, you get like there's been speculation on how far the story would go. We get to see basically how far the story's going to go, and I'm really excited to see it. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the bits that got me really excited, but if anything, I hope that shows it's good. Maybe not. But I will talk about the bits I can talk about. So like the manga only stuff, which I can actually talk about, which is like references to the manga in the opening. So there's one scene where Saitama's crushing this drink, and well, like it's actually a manga cover. That's the same thing, and he may look serious, but he's actually, I think he just crushed his drink, and he's actually really angry that, like, you know, he spent money on the drink. He's wasted that money now, and he's like, damn it. I love that panel. It's so, like, that art's so good. Another little touch was there's a monster, like a giant cat monster who shows up in the intro. It's not a spoiler to say that he doesn't show up, because he's just he is a manga only monster. Because a quick thing, just in case you're an anime only, there's a side stories in the manga which basically they don't affect the main story at all, but they're like one-off stories about the characters, and that one was about a monster, involved a monster called Grizzly Nyan, and I was like, oh, I was surprised to see that. I was happy. Little touch that I can talk about as well is just like when Saitama's blasting through all the monsters in the opening. I love that. I love that because it looks great. But generally, I did just like I like just like thinking about it like that, and like, you know, Saitama could be any kind of monster, like, you know, the silly, the serious, the unknown, break through any kind of wall that is in front of him, but then it kind of stops, and like as like he approaches a galaxy or a universe even, I saw that as a galaxy, just to make it clear, I'm not building up that much, but when I saw that, it was to me more representing, you know, like the final opponent for Saitama might not even be just like a threat to the Earth, but it might even be a threat to the galaxy, or if you interpret it as a universe, maybe just a threat to life everywhere is what it'll be, and that'll be Saitama's final opponent. That's kind of what I saw that as, at least. That's what they were trying to show. The theme song as well was good. I thought the theme song was okay, but it's always the same with me. Like, it takes all the time for the second theme song to grow, but it really did grow on me, and seeing it in context with the animation as well of the intro, so good. I really did enjoy the theme song this time. So here I am on a different day to finish the review, because I'm awkward. Yeah. So, like, let's see what I remember what I was saying. Yes, like the theme song, like the opening a lot. Definitely my favourite thing about the whole episode was the opening. I was losing my mind at it, and it was really good. And I was freaking out in my seat just watching everything. I was like, it can't get much better than this. And it just ends with a bit afterwards where, like, everything goes on, and everyone gets to meet the main villain of this arc, or this story, which is Garo. and I thought his intro was done super well. Just like a very simple moment where he's just like, this is going to be good. And it's that scene from all the PVs and stuff where he just changes, where his face changes that wicked smile, and that's where it ends. And honestly, really liked it. Yeah. And then now we're ending the review. What a point to do, man. You could have just finished this the other day. You have to be so awkward that you couldn't do this. But any case, my final viewpoint on this is I like season 2. Surprise, surprise. Panda One Punch Man likes One Punch Man. I think it was done well. Obviously, you know, the animation isn't as good as season 1, but I think it's still above average, and everything else is on point in any case, so I am fine with everything that happened. Yes, so that's my opinion on this, but I'd actually like to know, now that you've had to listen to me ramble for so long, what did you think of this? And I'd actually be really interested to know your history of One Punch Man. It doesn't have to be like you have to write me 2 paragraphs or anything like, back in the year 1882, I heard about this One Punch Man from the land of Japan. That could have been better, Matt, you're an idiot. You can literally just say, like, I'm a manga reader, I'm an anime only, like, I only watch the anime, I only watch the manga, I've read the webcomic, and what you thought of this. I'd just like to know what your opinions are. Yes, like I said, that's it. I'm done reviewing it, and I'm wasting your time. I'm sorry, I wasted my time, and most importantly, I wasted my time, because to me, my time is the most important. Not your time's not important. Matt, goodbye!